What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. As a black man on vacation, there's nothing more satisfying than watching European Americans wake up to the conditions they find themselves in this modern day and age. I'm sitting back and I'm enjoying the thing that white supremacy has been trying to suppress, trying to stop for hundreds of years. But resistance is futile. And now white folks are waking up. That's the final piece to the puzzle that we need to advance as humanity. So let's sit back and watch these white folks as they rub the crust out of their eyes and they wake up to the plight of America and capitalism and what it has done to all of us collectively.
I've been trying to figure out a way to say this that doesn't sound pandering, and I can't, so I'm just going to say it. I did not understand. I really did not get it, and I thought that I did. I thought that I did my best to do as much reading and learning about what's happened in this country in the last 200 years. I thought that I had done my best to listen, and arrogantly, of course, I thought that I got it. It's always an arrogant thing to do, to believe that you're like one of the good ones or whatever, especially in a system that is still perpetuating violence. But I did. I thought that I got it, and it's been, what, a fucking week now? I absolutely did not understand. I did not understand the constant low-grade or high-grade nervous system dysregulation that a lot of people in this country are born into and die into, and I had the absolute privilege to live my entire life without ever thinking about. And it is so fucking criminal that I got to live with that kind of like safety, the American dream, haha, everything is lovely, it's the 90s. When entire bloodlines have had generation after generation after generation who live like this all the time. And that's the country that we've had this entire time. And yeah, everyone's been screaming it. Everyone's been screaming it, and I did not get it. And I don't know what to do with that yet. But one way or another, I think we all know and have known for a while that this all has to be torn down.
This question is for the United States military. How much more y'all gonna take, man? How much more y'all gonna take? Aren't y'all the ones that ride around with the fucking "Don't Tread on Me" flags all over your trucks and hanging in your bedrooms and shit? Y'all are being tread on, man. He's got your wrists tied up. He's got the ball gag in your mouth. At this point, I think y'all would let the crusty child fucker have his way with your mom, sister, and wife. The government has been shut down for 14 days. The Secretary of Drunk, the Secretary of Booze, Hegseth, up on stage a few weeks ago, have all the generals in the room, calling all of them fat and lazy, generals of the United States military. And y'all just take it. Y'all just take it. It's fucking madness. Racism and party loyalty is the most insane fucking shit I've ever seen, bro. Trump has military members not being paid and have not been paid for at least 2 weeks, many of them. They are in fucking food lines because they have no money, bro. They're not getting their checks. They're in line at your local food pantry in uniform, in HD video. It's captured. And still nothing? How are y'all not holding this dude at gunpoint yet? He's ass fucking all of y'all and the country at the same time. I mean, listen, civilians got y'all back, man, when you decide to do this thing. But fuck, y'all have all the heavy weapons, the artillery. Y'all have been trained for combat. Seems like you're probably the one that's going to have to initiate this thing. And again, you have the support of this country, man. Nobody likes this fucking guy. Everybody sees what's going on. Obviously, MAGA is a cult. They're lost. They all think he's great, whatever. But in my heart, I do believe there are a lot of Republicans that aren't MAGA that understand they fucked up. Or maybe they didn't even vote for him and they understand the predicament that we're in. I just want to know how much longer it's going to go on, bro. Every time I think we've hit the breaking point, nothing happens. Eventually, something's got to happen, man. Because here's a little insight. This motherfucker ain't going to stop. Him and his boys are going to keep going until they have every dollar, until they have every resource. It just is what it is. It's been clearly proven at this point. So, just say the word, man. I think everybody's fucking ready.
I understand it now. I get it. Y'all can't stand the mirror that's been put in front of your face. All of the shit that y'all have been serving for the last few decades now against minority communities. Y'all can't stand having to look at it when it affects you. See, that's the thing. I finally get it. It took me a lot of time because I'm thinking, why are people reacting so violently to this? And it reminds me of the very first event that I had when I was escaping the alt-right pipeline and changing my mindset of that. Was that anger and violence. Because see, here's the thing. And here's the thing you really don't understand because you refuse to put yourself in other people's shoes and actually be empathetic to other people's situations. How do y'all think the black community has felt for the last 5 years since George Floyd has died? All the memes y'all shared about that. How do you think they felt about the memes about Breonna Taylor, you know, the woman who was gunned down in her sleep during a no-knock raid? How do you think the Latino community has felt for the last 8 months with y'all cheering Trump for his deportation efforts and buying merch for Alligator Alcatraz and egging it on that human suffering is a great thing for this country? How do you think the gay community felt with all the jokes y'all made about the Pulse nightclub shooting a few years back in Orlando that killed 50 plus people in a predominantly gay club? You are truly experiencing for the first time how it tastes. The hatred y'all have been spilling out of your guts for years finally comes back at you. And that's the thing you don't like. But you know what? The funny thing about all of it is, where's the black community calling for war with how you have treated them? Where's the Latino community going up in arms and calling for war? And no, fighting off ICE and protesting, that is not war. That is civil disobedience, and that is our First Amendment right. But calling for the bloodshed of innocent civilians because they make jokes about a dead man who spent his entire political career actively making these communities worse with his rhetoric and their situations worse? Where's their calls for war? See, you're just now kind of coming out of the illusion that your hatred and bigotry that you claim is free speech is free of consequences from the actions of what you just said. Because you only ever say it online. Because when you do say it to someone's face, you almost always outnumber them 5-1. You almost always catch people in situations where they're at a disadvantage, so when you say these things, you're protected. But now with Charlie and his situation, you're having to come to reality for the first time of the vile and awful things that you believe in, and you don't like it. You're having to eat that. You're having to stare it in the face, and what's your first response? To be violent and angry towards innocent people. Because you scream that everyone's entitled to their opinion. You love dark humor. But the second you see people making jokes about Charlie Kirk being gone, oh, that's too far? Oh, that's too far. The Halloween costumes of George Floyd being strangled to death. Oh, let's not even glaze over the fact that I'm seeing a bunch of posts going, congratulations, George Floyd, for being 5 years sober. Because he's dead. But now you want us to care. You're now noticing just how little actual emotion, like how little actual empathy and sympathy exist amongst your own ranks. Because the funniest thing about this entire situation is the fact that it was one of your own that killed him. It was a 22-year-old white kid from Utah who came from a conservative GOP family that loved Trump. And he was a registered Republican. So if you really, really, really think you want war or bloodshed with innocent people, how about you look in a mirror and why don't you sit there for a few days and actually digest and break down your beliefs? Because I'm sure it's screaming at you from the inside. I remember feeling that a lot whenever I was younger in the alt-right, was there's this interior voice that's screaming that the things you are saying and doing are wrong, but you don't care because it's getting you brownie points with the people around you because you've surrounded yourself with hateful people. How about you actually think for a few days on your politics and your beliefs? Because at the moment, y'all are disgusting. Y'all call us disgusting for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. We think you're disgusting because really Charlie Kirk is no different than any child that has been shot in a school for the last fucking 2 decades. The things we have been trying to prevent, the things we've been trying to stop, the pain that these incidents cause families, yeah, how about you think about which side you've been fighting on that for a while?
Ultimately, this is going to come down to white people realizing who has the power to decide who lives and dies in this country. And this country, and really most of the world, has always been founded on the idea that white dudes get to decide who lives and dies. And if white dudes can wake the fuck up and start to realize that they need to protect the people who have been getting killed by these systems for literally ever, then maybe we can make some progress. Maybe we can fight back against this, and maybe we can get somewhere. But until white people around this country and fucking world get that idea in their heads, until we can figure that out collectively, we're going to continue to see this fucking destruction. Like, it won't end until white people can sacrifice that white supremacy. Let go of that shit. Realize that that's at the heart of all this. If you can sacrifice that, you can step away from that, we can get somewhere. Until we do that, though, I don't know. Fucking be safe, man. Be organized, be safe, be careful. I don't know. Like, white dudes, it's time to wake up. White women too, bro. Like, it is that simple. I know it's not that simple, but it is that simple. Like,
act that you are sponsoring requires a paper ballot. It requires a paper birth certificate. It requires you to show up in person. It takes away everything digital that you're talking about. It requires in-person voting, registration with a birth certificate that matches your current legal last name. It is voter suppression. It is not a bipartisan solution. I'm happy to review what it said. I'm a voter. The reason why I'm saying advocate vote is because I'm also a married woman. Just my husband's last name. Does not match my legal name. On January 9th, 2025, you joined as a sponsor of HR 22 Say Gun. This means that me and 69 million women like me who have taken their spouse's last name will not be eligible to vote. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me why you are trying to take away my right to vote. Every news outlet that is reporting on this are saying that it is going to make it incredibly difficult for any woman who has a married last name to vote. It is a voter suppression law that you signed on as a sponsor of, and I want to know why you're scared for me to vote.
You'll see that we were just down at an IT conference and a bipartisan approach to voter ID. Now, they actually have digital ID that we can do in the future that's going to solve a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And this is a Democrat. Wait, no, this is a Democrat. I'm going to tell you what a Democrat solution is that I agree with, if you'll allow me. If it's a bipartisan issue or not. Do we want to come to a conclusion where we can agree with the law, or do you just want to yell at me and call me names? If you want to do that, I can just stand back here and you can just yell at me. But if you want to solve this problem, we can actually give it. I'll just sit back here and just let you yell at me.
McCormick, I hear what you're saying about a digital solution, but the SAVE Act that you are sponsoring requires a paper ballot. It requires a paper birth certificate. It requires you to show up in person. It takes away everything digital that you're talking about. It requires in-person voting, registration with a birth certificate that matches your current legal last name. It is voter suppression. It is not a bipartisan solution.
So guys, here's the deal. I came here to have a discussion. I think a lot of you didn't come here in good faith to have a discussion. You came here to yell. The fact that I came here was because I knew there would be about 75% of people who were unhappy, and I wanted to have a discussion about how we can get to the end point and solve some problems. I didn't have to come here. My staff didn't have to come here.
It's your job.
How many counts we have? We've done 4 counts. And I continue to come back, and I'll continue to come back.
Because it's your job.
If you want to have a discussion, we can have a discussion. But this is about solving problems. We're not about just yelling at each other. Because once again, we don't convince each other by yelling. We convince each other by sitting down and figuring out how we solve them.
Answering questions.
Didn't see any black people in the Epstein files. You didn't. White people, why can't we be honest about literally anything? You saw MJ, he was photoshopped in, and that's the entire point. No matter where on the political spectrum you lie, whether it's Noam Chomsky, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, or Steve Bannon, whites had to take a hard look at themselves this weekend and understand that the elites on both sides have always been complicit in creating the highly curated differences of opinion that have divided us and hold us hostage every single year on election day. All right. Doesn't matter what kind of white you are. Epstein is the brutal white reminder that the richest, whitest of us are both complicit in not only erasing their own histories, but the histories of our countries, and the histories of our country's borders, and the histories of the indigenous people that used to live within our country's borders. Everyone else but us seems to know that we turn the horrors of our ununited states into the United States, and the horrors of our original white evil island boys into the founding fathers, all while they got to use outdated concepts of race and gender to control the way that we vote, while they created ethno-states by any means necessary. Why white people are the only ones left that think religious people can be political, right? Because no religious person follows the racist class structures built by the redacted histories of the country's most racist, richest men, right? Especially the ones who created laws only to legislate their creepiest fetishes. We're going to let the same rich white political actors define the actions of our countries with racism, sexism, and xenophobia while they call it a religion and make it unsafe for us to practice these religions, right? There's not a Christian in America who would be proud to be American. And there is not a Jewish person in the world that would be proud to... You get it, guys. Have a nice day.
Where are we getting 400 years? The Constitution was ratified in 1788 and slavery ended in 1865. It took white Americans 75 years to end an 11,000-year-old atrocity. Close. You're so close. And I believe this is coming from truly a space of you wanting to know, so I'm going to break it down for you because I didn't know. You're spot on. It was ratified at that time. That does not mean that that's when the first slaves arrived here in America. It was the end of August, 1619. Point Comfort is now known as Fort Monroe. 20 to 30 Africans who were slaves arrived on a ship called the White Lion in what is Hampton, Virginia. So I guess 400 years is wrong. It's 404 years and 8 months. Just to kind of give you a grand picture of that. So now when people ask you a similar question, you can share where that 400-year piece of information comes from, because that is widespread, known fact. It's very true. It's very easy to find on the internet. You can ask Google or ChatGPT, which is unbiased. Bang with ChatGPT from now on when you have questions. When did the first slaves arrive in America? And you'll be able to find this information like that. And if you want some bonus points sprinkled on it, there is another ship that sailed in 1526 directly from Africa to the United States, where it is presumed that could have been the original start as well. Just extra information.
You're an Israeli Jew. I'm a white American Christian nationalist. Why should I be okay with my country funding your military and your healthcare system when it's arguably to our detriment? What should make us okay with that from your point of view?
So America controls in your area and we control like the Middle East. It gives America less headache maybe when they know there is a good country, which is Israel, and they do good things for the Middle East and trying to bring up peace with Arab countries and reduce all this terror.
But you guys have never brought peace to the Middle East, and that's being demonstrated right now. There is no quantifiable benefit that we have from being in a relationship.
I think you have a lot of benefits.
Like what?
Israel helps America like to keep the Middle East quiet.
Are you serious?
What? Yes, bro.
We've fought like 10 wars over there in the past 2 decades. We've been terrorizing Muslim people in the millions. What are you talking about?
Okay, but Israel helps.
Helps what? In all the wars that our people have fought on the behalf of your country, a lot of people that look like me have died. Millions of Muslims have died. We spent probably trillions of dollars on the wars on the Middle East. I don't know of any Israeli people that have died in these wars. So what are we benefiting from fighting these endless wars in the Middle East? And how does that keep peace?
So if Israel wasn't there, we would have to fight Egypt, Syria, Lebanon.
The only reason we fought any of those wars is because they were a direct enemy of your nation's sovereignty, and they were the only countries that reject the centralized banking system. We would have never been to war with them in the first place.
So let me get this straight. If I call somebody a fucking bitch at work, I'm done. Fired. That's it. I don't even have to kill anybody. But if you've got a badge and a gun, you can kill someone. And then say that. And it's fine. Suddenly it's, hold on. Let's investigate. Let's hear his part of the story. We're given the least qualified, least disciplined, most unprofessional people the highest positions of power. Then we act shocked when they abuse it. And here's the thing, we already knew that. It's always been the case. It's just white people are just now starting to notice. But ICE, cops, law enforcement officials, the further up you go, the least qualified you have to be. That's crazy. We demand more emotional stability from somebody serving mashed potatoes than we do with somebody who has the legal authority to kill people. That's not law and order. That's cowardice dressed up as authority. Like I said, this isn't new, though. Just louder. But if accountability disappears as soon as power shows up, then the system isn't broken. The system is working exactly like they intended it to. And that's the truth.
Israel is creating tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who are going to hate the United States. And you know, they're going to hate Israel also. But because we're giving Israel the weapons to do what they're doing, we're creating a lot of people who hate us in this country.
But we're told that it's essential to our national security to do that. Do you believe that?
No, I don't see that. I mean, one of the reasons, like I said, the Biden letter said, well, we need to keep our industrial base strong, so let's fund all these weapons and send them over. But I don't see how it's strengthening our country. In fact, we're getting weaker by doing it.
Why can I burn an American flag in my country, but I get a mark by my name if I burn Israel's? Like, how?
I think that's an entirely fair question. It's totally outrageous. You got 65 million people here illegally, according to the administration, and the only ones who are deported are ones who criticize a foreign country. I don't understand it. It's driving people insane, actually, and it's making people angry in a bad way. People are so mad. I mean, I've never seen anything like the rage online. And I get it. I get it. That's the worst part. I get it. People go crazy after a while if you totally ignore their concerns, if you call them names rather than answering their questions.
This country never used to be like this. They're shooting people on the street now? Well, I've never been scared to drive down the road before. How can they just kill somebody and get away with it? They're terrorizing communities. Somebody's got to do something. This has never been a problem before right now.
No. You guys, this was only supposed to happen to black people.